Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Jern. Glad to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about Final Cut Pro and the basics of the editing software. Now when you first get into video editing, it can be overwhelming at first and not sure where everything is, so I'm going to help you find the things that you need to make videos, and I'm going to walk you through the basics to get you started. And real quick, before we dive into Final Cut Pro, if you guys like this kind of content and you want to see more tutorials like this, give this video a like and hit that subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. Okay, so this is kind of it. I mean, there's not a whole lot here. It's pretty basic and pretty boring here at first. Now, Final Cut kind of has a weird way of organizing and structuring how videos are organized in the software. It's kind of weird. But the way Final Cut organizes your projects, your videos, and all of your files and footage is they organize it in layers. Now, the first layer is libraries. Now, libraries is kind of the big umbrella term, and essentially how you can organize libraries is you can treat them as if like, maybe different video types. So, for example, you could have a library for vlogs, a library for gaming videos, or maybe a library for different channels. The way I organize my libraries is I have them kind of in a monthly basis. As you can see, 2020, September through December. That's kind of how I organize my libraries, but you can organize it however you like. Now, the second layer are called events. Essentially, events are independent videos. So think of those as like different YouTube videos. So for example, this video, this event right here, Final Cut Pro tutorial. And then we have the third layer, which is projects. Now the projects are gonna pop up right here. So I named it the same thing, so Final Cut Pro tutorial. And so yeah, it's under the same umbrella term as the library. So 2021, Final Cut Pro tutorial, and then Final Cut Pro. So that way it's all in the same place and I can easily find the footage that I'm looking for. But for the sake of showing you, let's go ahead and create a new event. And you can create this whatever you want. We could call that whatever, yeah, sure. And then you can put this in whatever library you want. And then right here with video, you want to select your resolution, so 1080p. You can put it in vertical if you want. Vertical if you're doing, video editing for Instagram. If you have a library, let's say for TikTok videos, then all your videos in that library are going to be in this vertical format, which is nice. Now for my videos, I actually use a different custom resolution. So we go to custom here. I do 3840 by 1920. That is what I do. Now this is called a 2:1 ratio, so it actually helps fill the edges of the phone a little bit better on mobile. So that's why I do it. Then for the frame rate, we can just go to 30p. And there we go. We're gonna hit OK, and then it'll create it. So now that we have the project where we want it organized, entitled where we want it, now we can import footage and get started editing. Okay, so now we have a clip imported into our project. What's really cool is if you go up here, you actually see the background tasks. So you could actually see the progress of all of the background tasks that are happening in Final Cut Pro. So you can see if Final Cut is, transcoding or importing or rendering, you can see what Final Cut's doing in the background. So maybe if Final Cut is acting a little bit slow, you can open this up and see exactly what it's doing. Okay, let's just get the footage, drag it in, and now we could get started editing. Now where I dragged this footage to is called the timeline. This is where your footage is gonna live. This is where your project is going to basically kind of come together, essentially. Now let's come over here. This is the inspector window. Now essentially, this is where you can edit kind of the position of your footage. You can edit kind of, add some stabilization. You can crop, distort. You can do that here. You can also do some cropping here as well. Be transform, crop, and distort. Just two different places to do the same thing. So if you guys wanted to crop your footage, boom, you can come over here. You could either trim or crop. You could crop in. Let's crop into me just walking into frame. Boom, now we're super cropped in. You get the point. Okay, so as you can see, there are some black bars here on the side. Like I said, this is why we film in the 2:1 aspect ratio. We're gonna go over here from spatial conform, fit to fill. So it's gonna fill the rest of our project space and the resolution. That way we don't have to, do that ourselves. We'll just let the software do it for us. Okay, now in this menu, this is our color grading menu. So over here we have a bunch of color things. Now, essentially what this is color grading, very basic color grading. So down here you see the master, you see shadows, midtones, and highlights, and you could kind of put this, kind of to what you want and what kind of style you like, and you can edit the footage to look the way you want it to look in a specific way. This is how some content creators create their what's called LUT packages. They basically create a cool look using color correction, and they just sell that. It's what they do. But basically, this is all kind of personal preference when it comes to color grading. Personally, for me, I actually don't really like a whole lot of color grading going on. I don't do a whole lot of color grading. I actually do more saturation and exposure editing more than anything. Now, I like colors to pop, so I really do kind of try to, you know, increase the saturation of my footage. That way skin tones are a little bit clearer. You have colors pop a little bit more in the background. This light back here kind of pops a bit more when I you know, see it, like, look at that. As I turn the shadows up, like, you could definitely tell that light is a little bit better. Kind of turn that down. See, you could see a little bit more color in the t-shirt as well. So again, I like to bring color out a little bit more. Now, you can do that with color grading, but I'm lazy, so I just kind of boost the saturation a little bit. Okay, I also do some exposure editing because sometimes I expose something wrong in camera and I just didn't notice it when I was filming, so I have to kind of do some exposure correction here. So sometimes I need to kind of boost the highlights a little bit, maybe bring midtones up a little bit, and then maybe drop the shadows just a tad, or maybe I underexposed it and I need to boost the shadows a little bit. So now this does depend on my footage, whether it is overexposed, underexposed, whether I had good lighting or bad lighting, and when I'm filming, I know I could kind of correct it a little bit. I try not to do too much because, again, I want to try to make it as natural as possible out of camera, try to get the best quality out of camera as possible. So sometimes if I'm trying to do too much with exposure adjusting, it takes away from the quality of the footage, and it just kind of looks, you know, doesn't look that good. Now let's go over to audio. Now with audio, you have the volume control right here at the top, and you can also see it right here on the levels here. You can see it going up. I try to keep it around -6, so it's hovering right around there, so I don't really need to adjust it. As you could tell with these little yellow peaks, that's where it's peaking in the microphone. You want to try to avoid that a little bit, so we're going to actually just kind of bring this down just a hair. And there we go. It's just a slight adjustment, bring it down a couple dBs, not a big deal. Now, you also can add some audio enhancements, so you could actually do some EQ to your voice. Now, I'm not really going to talk about EQ in this video because it is such a complex and a really in-depth topic that probably requires its own video, so I'm not really going to talk about it too much. You could play with it if you want. It basically is affecting the frequencies of your voice, so if you want to do that, go for it. Now, you also can add some hum removal, so if there's like a fan in the background or some low-end hums, you can actually remove that. It actually works pretty well. All right, let's come down here to mouse controls. You have a ton of different mouse controls here. You have, you know, like your select tool, you have your position, your blade tool here, your zoom, your hand, and these are all tied to a keybind. So make sure, mental note, make sure you got keybinds, and make sure that's, you know your keybinds. Super important. Now, I could press B for the blade tool, but I'm not a huge fan of pressing B and clicking where I want, because I could just click here, 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 here. But that's just, I personally don't like that much, so we're just gonna undo all that. And then if I wanted to make a cut here, we're gonna click A to go to my selection tool, my default select tool. And then where the playhead is, let's say I wanna make a cut right here, I'm gonna do Command B. That's gonna make a cut wherever the playhead is. So if I know I wanna cut, let's say right here. I know I wanna cut specifically, boom, there's a cut. I feel like I could be more precise and more accurate with my clips and with my cuts if I use that method. Again, that's my personal preference. If you like using the blade tool, again, keybinds, make sure you know the keybinds, that's also important. Now, if you wanna edit your keybinds, you just go up here to Final Cut Pro, Commands, Customize, and now you have all these. There's a ton of different things that you could bind, lots of different things. So it is probably worth going through, seeing what you do more and seeing what commands you use a lot. You know, obviously copy, cut, you know, all those things, important. So yeah, super important. Keyboard shortcut commands can really save you a ton of time in the editing process. Okay, another feature that I want to highlight is the snapping feature. So this is snapping, it's keybound to N. Now what's cool about snapping is the playhead can snap right to the beginning and the end of a clip, right in between clips, which is pretty cool. So it can make it very precise where you want the playhead to be, and that way you don't have to think about it. You could start it right where you want it to start. Also, things like text elements can snap as well. We're gonna go up here to generators, and we're gonna go to titles, and we're gonna scroll and basic title. This is default regardless in Final Cut Pro. So we're gonna drag this here, and essentially we can align this, boom, snapping it right there. And it just, boom, look at that. It just snaps right where we want it. Now, if I didn't want it to snap right there, I just press N again, or I just go over here, click the snapping thing, and now it doesn't snap anymore. But if I wanted it precisely at that cut, at that beginning of this clip, boom. We've turned snapping on for that. Now, what's cool with the basic title is we could actually go through and put text. We could put whatever we want on that. So I'm just gonna be basic and put subtitle there. And we could customize the text too. So if we didn't like the text that we wanted, we could switch it to this, and we could change the weight. We could increase the tracking a little bit. And we could have a lot of fun with text. So that's pretty much the basics of text. Let's check out some effects. This is your effects panel, and you have a lot of default stuff that Final Cut gives you. And they also categorize it, so if you want, color presets, you can, change the color a little bit. If there's one that you like specifically, you can also, comic books, distortion, lights, you can add lighting to it, masks, different looks that they've kind of given you. So there's a lot there that you can kind of play around with. Now they also include some audio. So you have the audio tab here. So you got distortion, echo, EQ. Now again, I'm not really talking about EQ in this video, but this is one that I've actually created myself, and I've gone through, taking the time to EQ my own voice. And essentially, when you want to apply an effect to your footage, you just click and drag and apply it. Now I got to apply that to both footages there. So there we go. So yeah, effects are pretty easy to put into Final Cut. All right, let's talk transitions. Final Cut also does include a ton of stock transitions for you. I mean, there's a lot of kind of some cringy ones, that that I'd probably never use. But they have a lot for you, like dissolves. Cross dissolves are really good. Fading to color, that's really good as well. I used that one for a while. Bloom. I used this one for a while. I would just kind of stick that at the end of my videos, and so it's just like, boom, something like that. But yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to, put my hand over the lens and used to do the bloom transition to like a wave thing. It was a cringy transition. I've moved on from that, but yeah, again, you do what you think works, right? Now, what's also really great about Final Cut Pro is you can install third-party plugins for, third-party transitions, effects, generators, whatever you find online. There's a lot of free options, as well as a lot of options you can pay for that you could download and just install directly into Final Cut Pro. On top of all the stock stuff they give you. So there's a lot of options for you. Okay, well that is pretty much the basics of Final Cut Pro. I know that was a lot. I know that there was a lot in this video, and I know that there was probably some stuff that I didn't quite cover. So if there are some questions that you have, be sure to drop them in the comments down below. Would be happy to answer them. Probably will make a video on it anyway. So be sure to drop a question or a comment. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comments section below. And if you like this little tutorial, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate it. With that, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's little tutorial walkthrough, and I will see you in the next video. I need to use this microphone more in videos, right? Like, it's such a nice mic. Like, you have a nice mic, why not use it, right? I need to do outros like Chris Howe does, ASMR outros, just like, if you like the video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more stuff like this, hit that subscribe button. Just do some ASMR outros. That's an idea. Yeah, that's not happening again.